Moin moin. Heute bin ich einfach mal so da. Mal gucken, wen es hierher verschlägt. Die Kamera bleibt heute auch mal aus. Ich habe sie noch nicht mal angeschlossen gerade. Ich habe einfach gedacht, das wäre mal ganz nett. Mal auf den Sonntag. Ich habe ein bisschen Zeit. Da wird mal ein bisschen gestreamt. Ein kaltes Getränk steht zur Verfügung. Es ist unglaublich warm. 28 Grad hier drin. Mal gucken, wie lange wir so machen. So, ich habe uns jetzt erstmal Stanley Parable mitgebracht. Vielleicht wechseln wir noch. Mal gucken. Aber das Spiel, das habe ich habe eine ältere Version davon mal gespielt. Jetzt gab es diese Ultra Deluxe oder wie auch immer diese Version da heißt. Da habe ich mir gedacht, die muss ich mir mal angucken. Also wechseln wir mal. Frisch installiert. Schauen wir mal, wie die so ist. Deutsch ist gut. So. Wir tun jetzt mal so, als hätten wir es noch nicht gespielt. Das war für diesen Stream hier quasi ein ganz neu. Ach, so. Okay, also der Computer gerade noch sichtbar. Ich hoffe, das ist beim Streamen für euch jetzt auch okay. Ich mache so ein bisschen Reserve. So, passt. Aktuelle Zeit. Ah ja. Wir haben... Achso, nee. So, wir haben zwei... Also, das springt eins weiter. So, 53 nach meiner Uhr. 54, wechselt gerade. Okay, Barrierefreiheit haben wir an der Stelle keinen Bedarf. So. Moin, super freundlich.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Heute gibt's noch was Neues. Einfach mal so.
Company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons.
Fast wie ich.
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and
ja, mir geht's gut und dir?
This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
Ah, das ist cool. Ich
Was happy.
ich finde mittlerweile Merch total geil.
And then one day, something
Hätte ich nie gedacht, dass ich mal so drauf sein würde.
something that would forever change
Aber ich finde das super.
something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very
Ich mach das Spiel ein bisschen lauter.
shocked,
Kein Problem.
frozen solid. Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time.
Moin Prinz
As he
Heiterbu.
came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped
Audio. Lautstärke. Oh, es ist schon auf volle Pulle. Ich wünschte, das bleibt so.
out of his office.
Es ist relativ leise, ne? Ich guck mal gerade. Ah, ich konnte den Bike noch ein bisschen schieben. Jetzt habt ihr 100% auch bei OBS. Okay. Der Sprecher sagt, ich soll aus dem Büro raus. So. Jetzt die 430er-Regel
All of his
wieder.
co-workers were gone. What could... Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement?
Ja, mach ich.
Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that
Kriegen wir hin.
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort.
Nee, Half-Life ist das nicht, aber es basiert auf einer Half-Life-Mod. Ja.
Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
Oh. Jetzt wird die Maus gequält.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Wo ist die denn? Lego Star Wars ist Skywalker gesagt. Das kann ich mir vorstellen. Die Lego-Spiele waren sowieso immer ziemlich cool. 417, 417. 417. Ach, das passt immer.
Now, go click a few times on door 437.
4337, das war dahin. Nee, ich finde random immer gut. Nee, warte mal, 437 ist hier nicht. Nee, oh, was ist denn das hier eigentlich für eine Ordnung? Ah!
Excellent! I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
415, 415. Umgucken. Ey, Lego-Spiele waren echt immer cool, ja.
Hallo?
Now, back to door number 437.
Das ist anstrengend. Frauengold nehmen. Ich glaube, ich muss irgendwann, ich höre mal. Da.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Also, das Ding ist halt die...
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
Kann ich jetzt springen? Ah.
Yes! This is
Nee,
great.
ich kann
You're
nicht
putting it
springen.
all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
Das Ding ist halt, ich wusste, dass es eine Achievement gibt, die halt so ist.
We've almost got it. Now the copy machine, do that one again.
Der war da hinten irgendwo, ne?
Finish it off, Stanley. 5 clicks on door 430. Yeah!
Achievement!
We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now? What were you thinking? When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Sind halt, auch wenn es nicht möglich wäre, wie ein Darth Vader und der Joker zu... Was? Ich mache jetzt mal das, was der Sprecher sagt. Wenigstens dieses Mal.
Yet there was not a
Der Erzähler ist der Hammer.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Das ist gut. Ja. Monetize free to play. Ah. Das gibt, glaube ich, auch eine Achievement.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Na gut, okay. Es gibt, glaube ich, eine Achievement, wenn er 5 Minuten in diesem Raum bleibt.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss.
Wir machen erstmal, was wir tun sollen. Edel, ne? Das gab's früher nicht, oder? Ja. Der Erzähler bringt halt das Spiel so richtig gut rüber erst. Ich glaube, ohne diesen coolen Erzähler wäre das alles irgendwie relativ witzlos. Boah.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk.
Ja, aber jetzt ist das auch gar nicht im Voice. Ich bin auch gar nicht im Voice gerade.
And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Nein, ich habe mich vertippt.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code.
Welch
by
Wunder.
sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ich finde, man sieht diesen Schlag Half-Life immer noch so ein bisschen. Obwohl das quasi schon zweimal neu gemacht wurde, das Spiel.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ich kann nicht schießen. Ich habe keine Pistole. Du kannst nicht springen. Ja, ich hab das festgestellt, ja.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself.
Darth Vader und Iron Man. Ich wüsste gar nicht, was die sich zu sagen hätten. So. Ah.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job?
Ich glaube eher, Darth Vader wäre fasziniert von Iron Man. Nicht umgekehrt.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never.
Also das Spiel ist nicht pirated, falls irgendjemand das denken mag.
Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Darth Vader würde die Rüstung von Iron Man abnehmen mit der Macht und die Nanotechnik würde an Darth Vader kleben und sich anpassen und dann hätte Iron Man Zugriff auf Vaders Rüstung oder so. Du kannst ja mal eine Fanfiction schreiben, also ich glaube, da wirst du, glaube ich, Zuspruch finden. Also mal ganz ehrlich, der Monitor ist nicht ergonomisch. Der ist zwar groß genug, aber eigentlich fast schon ein bisschen zu groß. Okay, mach mal aus. Mach mal aus. Und jetzt? Hallo?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know.
Das ist auch klasse.
It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Kann nicht, diese Kante ist zu schwer. Ja. Da habe ich mal Boundary Break gesehen. War das Boundary Break? Ich glaube. Diese Karte hier, die ist wirklich nur eine kleine Kulisse, aber der Hintergrund ist detailliert gebaut. Diese Brücke da hinten ist tatsächlich eine richtige Brücke, die sie da modelliert haben und so. Das ist alles total gut ausgearbeitet, aber die Texturen sind meistens, naja, sehr simpel, weil man sieht die ja eigentlich gar nicht. Also. So, da sind wir wieder. Jetzt können wir einen alternativen Storyweg öffnen.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Das heißt, jetzt können wir anfangen, das Spiel so ein bisschen anders zu spielen.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he and
Jetzt gehen wir auf die rechte.
way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Jetzt schauen wir uns das mal an. Achso, dann sind wir wieder hier.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might
Wollen wir uns mal diesen
find a
Escape
staircase.
angucken?
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Da war ja eben so eine Alternativroute. Oder wollen wir erstmal den Mind Control Button auf On stellen?
To discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Okay, also wir müssen ihn ausreden lassen. Unterm Strich ist man nicht schneller.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated,
Ja, ich bin absolut beruhigt jetzt.
Into the opened passageway.
Ja, was meint ihr? Wollen wir erst Mind Control anmachen oder wollen wir erst diesen Escape-Weg nehmen?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Keiner? Okay, dann erstmal Mind Control.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
Wie auch einfach, wie man sowas bauen kann, ohne dass es jemand mitkriegt. Das ist ja bodenlos da. Das ist ja... Weil müssten diese Gestänge hier nicht eigentlich irgendwie schwanken, wenn man darauf rumläuft? Obwohl es ist ja so eine Säule dazwischen, ne? Aber trotzdem irgendwie... Kann ich mir gar nicht vorstellen, dass das nicht irgendwie am Wanken ist. Boah, dass man da nicht runterfallen kann. Also ich drück nach vorne, ich kann nicht rausfallen.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human.
Gibt's auf jeden Fall Buttons. Es gibt eine 3, eine 5 war da hinten.
And for all.
Da oben ist auch ein Button. Kann ich jetzt aber nicht sehen, welcher es ist. Hier ist 1. Da ist 2. Hört mal. Aha, 1. Aha, 2. Ich glaube, die 3 war da oben, oder? Nee. Kommen jetzt schon durcheinander. Das sind zu viele Buttons. Da ist 3. Aha. Okay, da kann man nicht hoch. Da ist so ein Gitter davor. Da ist die 5. Das kann ja eigentlich nur die 4 sein, die da oben ist. Habe ich es kaputt gemacht, weil ich zuerst auf die 5 gedrückt habe? Das kann natürlich sein, ne? Oder muss man das hier, kann man das hier irgendwie öffnen? Was denn? Passiert nichts. Einfach mal überall drauf rumdrücken, vielleicht geht was. Nö. Vielleicht hätte ich vorher nicht auf die 5 drücken dürfen. Das habe ich bestimmt kaputt gemacht.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place.
Genau,
and to
machen wir.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
Ja,
After they
natürlich.
kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Upsi.
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about
die Tür ist, diese Klappe hier ist offen.
What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated.
Ich glaube, hier muss man nochmal herkommen, gar keine Buttons drücken und dann könnte man das nochmal ausprobieren. Failsafe.
I turned off the machine. I set you free.
Funktioniert
Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp.
Vielleicht kann man das hier wirklich schaffen, ne? Aber ich glaube, ich hätte nicht eben auf die Buttons drücken dürfen. Die 4 braucht man auf jeden Fall, oder?
But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Oh.
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
So viele Buttons.
What's the matter,
Und alle bringen sie gar
Is it
nichts.
that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Oops.
Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just
Die 5 hat auch nichts gebracht, obwohl sie hier steht.
You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment.
Button hin provided.
To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully?
Ich schaff's noch.
Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Was jetzt? Ja, das war eine Storyline.
What could it mean?
Das ist ja das Witzige an dem Spiel. Es gibt ganz viele Storylines. So, jetzt schauen wir uns mal diesen Escape-Weg an. Dafür gehen wir mal direkt lang.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office.
Und nach unten gehen können wir auch noch. Das können wir gleich auch noch mal versuchen. So. Aber hier warten wir diesmal lieber wieder, bis der Sprecher uns den Code verraten hat. Sonst bremst er uns wieder aus. Was? Also, ich brauchte gar nichts mehr drücken, er hat das einfach schon übersprungen. Aber das ist das, was ich damals ja auch schon so cool fand. Damals, ne? Obwohl, ja gut, das ist fast 10 Jahre her oder so, ne? Das Spiel nimmt sich selbst nicht so ernst und gerade auch diese Stellen, die man immer wieder hat, ne?
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Könnte ich. Mal gucken, ob er irgendwas Tolles sagt. Nee, dann gehen wir wieder.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward, and willingly
Jetzt
confronted
gehen die
his
Lichter aus
death.
und da steht da Darth Vader. Nee, ich glaube Darth Vader gibt's hier nicht. Das ist etwas so ein Portal gerade. Aber das war wirklich ein epischer
As the
Auftritt mit
machine
Darth
whirled
Vader,
into
ne?
motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine
Moin Tesla.
pushed every
Nee,
bone in
Unsinn
his
liegt
body,
mir fern.
killing
Ich
him
mach nur, was die
instantly.
Story von mir will. Hm?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making
Ah,
life
das ist
the
der...
same. Do you
Dieser
see now?
Showcase, das...
Do you see that Stanley was already
so-
dead from the moment he hit start?
Da kann man so ein bisschen den Schnitt der Büros sehen. Hier Bürogrundriss. Wie so ein Artbook. Leben nach dem... Nee, ich glaube, so philosophisch ist das nicht. Aber es hat was von so einer Galerie gerade, so von einem Museum. So, oh, guck mal, so sieht so eine Bürozelle aus. Das Büro. Mit Türen, die ich nicht öffnen kann. Die Knopfgeräusche. Toll. Toll. Okay, jetzt gibt es noch Nebenräume. Ah, Credits. Ist auch schön ins Spiel eingebaut. Eine Bürouhr. Ich finde es jetzt ein bisschen schade. Er hat mich doch extra nach der... So, beim Start des Spiels hat er mich nach der Uhrzeit gefragt. Und da frage ich mich jetzt so, warum ist das jetzt nicht die echte Uhrzeit gewesen? Hintergrund. Erzähler
Where
Outtake.
were all of his
Ah.
co-workers? Oh, I don't know. How about they're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing? Does that sound plausible?
Oh Gott, nein. Bitte, bitte. Was so spannend wie das Spiel mit dem komischen Ja, spannend ist vielleicht jetzt nicht das Wort der Wahl. Aber beim nächsten Mal geht's wieder ein bisschen Retro ab. Ich habe mir Shantae, diese... Oh, was habe ich denn jetzt gemacht? Hä? Hallo? Ach so, das Countdown-Ende. Das Spiel ist eigentlich relativ schnell durch. Das hat 10 Minuten oder so gedauert und dann hast du eigentlich das Spiel durch in dem Sinne, aber es gibt ganz viele verschiedene Storyzweige innerhalb des Spiels und das ist der Witz des Ganzen. Ach so, Stanleys Büro in verschiedenen Ausführungen. Naja. Dann habe ich aber den Ausgang gesehen, der war hier irgendwo. Da hinten was. Hey, also jedenfalls wahrscheinlich zocken wir erstmal Shantae, also diese
Oh, look at these
diese
two. How they wish to
Gameboy-Variante.
destroy one another.
Das wird wahrscheinlich
How they
auch nicht
wish to
so lang
control
sein,
one
das Spiel.
another.
Und
How they both wish to be free.
danach, ich hab noch so ein paar Spiele noch so in der Hinterhand. Und eins, was Dennis gesponsert hat, nämlich Resident Evil 7. Das wollte ich mir nämlich auch irgendwann mal anschauen. Ich hatte eigentlich überlegt, das aufzuheben für die Zeit, wenn es ein bisschen früher dunkel ist, aber
Can you see?
mal schauen.
Can you see
Vielleicht kommt noch
how
was
much
anderes
they
Cooles
need one
dazwischen.
another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking.
Ja, okay, ich mache jetzt schon.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So, wir wollen noch mal den Keller angucken, oder?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up
Jetzt
to
haben
his
die weitläufigen
boss's
Gänge
office,
mich dazu
hoping he
animiert, mal
might
wieder die
find an
Auszüge
answer
meines
there.
Anwesens. Ja, dann ist ja gut, dann hat sich doch schon
Going to the
gelohnt.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished.
Yeah.
His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons.
Du Tessa, mir geht's gerade genauso. Es ist echt so, ich habe keinen Bock, irgendwas anderes zu machen, deswegen.
Imagined himself flying and
Bisschen
began to
daddeln,
gently float.
Klimaanlage an.
Then he
Was?
imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Das hat nicht so gut funktioniert.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any
Ja
other.
genau, endlich sagt's mal einer
Rose,
hier.
got dressed,
Die
gathered
Regierung
her
soll mal was
belongings,
machen.
and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting
So,
room. And
jetzt weichen wir mal deutlich von dem ab, was wir sonst so
perhaps he
gemacht
wanted to
haben.
stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes. This room.
So, hier macht er uns ja noch diesen Zwischenweg auf, aber da konnte man auch irgendwie in den Keller. Das schauen wir uns mal an.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ah. Ah.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now.
Da hinten ist ein Monitor kaputt gewesen gerade.
How
Ne?
about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hm? Okay.
Wir haben das Spiel
From the
kaputt
top.
gemacht. Jetzt lädt er das Spiel für uns wieder neu.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Alles klar,
What could it
guten
mean?
Hunger.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
Bis
memo.
dann.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley.
Hey.
Let's find the story.
Hm? Hm.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse.
Jetzt sind gar keine Türen mehr hier.
It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
Oh, ich liebe solche
Wait,
Räume.
never mind, not the story.
Es geht einfach irgendwie dreimal nach
Other
links
way
rum
and retrace our steps.
und plötzlich hat man eine Sackgasse. Ja.
Now this, well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this.
Ich glaube, so sah die Demo
Is this the
damals
story?
aus.
I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Hey!
Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
Ah!
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
Trademark.
Just follow the line.
Trademark.
How simple is that?
Jetzt brauchen wir die Trademark-Sounds.
Trademark.
So, hier gibt es ja auch noch hier Achievements und so. Da kann man dann später auch noch mal gucken, welche wir dann noch so... das machen wir heute nicht. Die kann man garantiert auch irgendwie erreichen. 8. Da muss man wahrscheinlich einen richtig guten Durchlauf finden. Ich spiele jetzt Stanley Parable 10 Jahre lang nicht. Das schaffen wir heute auch nicht mehr. Passe im Einstellungsmenü alle Regler auf alle verfügbaren Werte an. Also alle. Warte mal, hier gehen wir dann 1. Da haben wir ein bisschen gestellt. Da, so. Audio. Dann stellen wir stellen einfach überall mal ein bisschen rum. Hat das was gebracht? Oder muss man sie vom Standard wegstellen? Dann machen wir mal 71. 4, Audio. Ah ne, warte mal, man konnte hier noch scrollen, ne? Aha, da ist noch was. Transparenz machen wir auf 79. So, Audio.
This is the story.
Oh. Es hat noch nicht gereicht. Irgendwas scheinen wir noch übersehen zu haben. Gibt's noch? Naja. Keine Ahnung, was das noch sein könnte. Na gut. Folgen der Storyline.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no
Ich
destination
gucke immer erstmal,
still a story?
was so sonst noch
Simply
so
by the
da
act
ist.
of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Das finde ich gut. Das klingt ein bisschen wie Ukulele irgendwie. Warte mal. Vielleicht hier lang gehen? So.
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern.
Was?
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story.
Ja, wir kommen zurück
Make
und
sure you study
das
it
ging ja schnell.
and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Das ist wirklich ein sehr hübscher Farn, ja. Sehr, sehr hübsch. So.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Na toll.
No, again, Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been
Wieder dieser
through...
Fehler da hinten.
No, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting.
Ja,
Just
das
me and
ist,
Stanley forging a new path, a new
Das sind
story.
mal richtig kahle Gänge.
What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley.
Wie auch immer das jetzt funktioniert hat, aber...
Oh, no, not you
Na toll.
again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Die aber auch randaliert und dann durch die Decke geht.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Ja.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant
Es steht genau drin, was wir gemacht haben.
Eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well,
Eine Buchhandlung finden, gelangweilt werden und gehen. Erzähler startet das Spiel neu. Der Erzähler ist verschwunden. Lange Zeit später, Stanley stirbt. Ja, vielen Dank.
Why do I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some
Das ist schon toll.
kind of story.
Das Büro ist jetzt eine Sackgasse. Umdrehen und noch eine Sackgasse vorfinden.
Destination or the journey. Though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Ja. Ich habe nichts gemacht.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Wir haben noch eine andere Ecke, die wir uns noch anschauen können. Oh, New Content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Ja, das war auf jeden Fall in der Version, die ich damals gespielt habe, nicht. Das sieht ja richtig geil aus hier.
And thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video
Das Spiel
game
ist klasse, ne?
released in 2013 on
mag
home
ich auch.
computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Überwiegend langweilig. Ja, das...
Alright, let's see, it's... The jump circle?
Boah, ich kann springen. Krass. Achso, jetzt kann ich auch gar nicht mehr springen. Toll.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Das sieht so richtig schön erbärmlich aus. Einfach so zwei Aufsteller zum Tisch. Ja, das war auf jeden Fall krasser neuer Content, ja.
Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new
Ach komm, das war doch super aufregend gerade.
There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it.
Ja, wer kennt's nicht? Ist ja fast in jedem Büro genauso.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fanbase rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make it.
Wenn es mal nur eine Erweiterung wäre, das ist ja ein komplett neues Spiel. Das ist ja nicht mal ein DLC.
Game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this?
Stimmt, das haben wir eben auch gesehen, das Ding.
I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Ja, das war schon ein ziemlich krasser neuer Content. Huch, was ist denn jetzt los? Also jetzt normalerweise gestartet.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something. Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game developers won't
Wie das
find it.
aussieht.
Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Einfach drüber geklebt. Postkarten. Ein Wecker, der auf 2013 steht. Die Steam-Seite. $1, warum auch immer der hier hängt. Stimmt, die Achievement habe ich auch schon. In der alten Version gab's eine Hidden Achievement, dass man 5 Jahre nicht spielt. Und das hat man... Konnte man... Ich glaube, irgendwie konnte man die doch kriegen. Ist das ein Hamster? Ja, ne? Ja. Loving Memory Little Stanley. Oh, mit Blümchen dran. Das hat gerade so ein bisschen Life is Strange Vibes, ne? Vielleicht hat der Dollar eine Geschichte. Ja, das kann gut sein. Für die hat der Dollar bestimmt was zu bedeuten.
Like this stunning triumph of
Oh, wie
games
hübsch.
journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator.
Ich finde das cool hier mit den Steinen und so. Das sieht cool aus. Person of the Year. Was ist das hier? Sieht aus wie ein Screenshot von vom Grundriss von irgendwas. Das Ding ist ja, ich habe ja auch nicht die erste Version von Stanley Parable gespielt, sondern auch nur das Remake eigentlich.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games, and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else.
So
It didn't
STK.
need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
The Serious Room. Oh, stimmt, an den kann ich mich erinnern. Wenn du versucht hast zu cheaten, dann hat der Sprecher dich in den Serious Room gebracht.
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh
Is it
no.
Reviews?
No, Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's being collected.
Steam
down
Reviews.
here. Surely these reviews were glowing.
Oh, die waren bestimmt richtig scheiße und deswegen haben sie aufgehoben. Oh ja.
Honestly, I could not be
Ey, das ist doch... Das,
The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny.
jetzt stell dir mal vor, du bist der Typ da. und dein
Trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious
und dein schlechter Review hat's ins Spiel gebracht.
to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web.
Wie das einfach aussieht.
Philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Und die gute kann man nicht lesen. Noch eine Not
Let's see
recommended.
what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games,
Nudelscharf.
gets in mind thoughts preachy. Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I?
Das Nudelscharf.
Tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can.
Den gibt's garantiert immer noch.
This is actually quite shocking for me.
Moin, Badrick.
To be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with.
Also, ich hatte diese Woche gar keine Zeit für Streams. Nicht am Mittwoch, nicht am Freitag. Aber Sonntag waren relativ frei bei mir. Und deswegen habe ich mir gedacht, ich mache einfach mal so, ne? Und spiele irgendwas, was man einmal spielen kann. Was nicht so schlimm ist, wenn man es dann liegen lässt. Und dafür ist Stanley Parable doch super. Oder sowas wie Portal, sowas, was man mit einem Part auch durchkriegt.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Ja, wie soll das funktionieren? Ah, da ist ein Skip-Button.
Here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you... Oh, you're back, you see? You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy...
Und er labert weiter.
Well, there's sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you?
Da ist sogar ein Schreibfehler drin gewesen.
The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof.
Ja.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well...
Ich kann hier nicht mal raus. Die Tür ist einfach verschwunden.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been...
Es erinnert ein bisschen an Klick, ne? Dieser Film.
But they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen.
Aber das ist schon witzig, dass sie die Negativ-Reviews benutzt haben, um dem Spiel neuen Content zu geben.
You're back. Oh my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week or 2 weeks.
Oh.
I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't...
Na, überreizt?
No, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling
Ist stehen geblieben, die Uhr. Eben hat sie noch
I
geklickt.
can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing.
Irgendwie tut er mir ein bisschen leid, aber ich kann auch nicht anders, als den Button zu drücken. Hm?
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be fun. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and they
deswegen hat er gepiept. Ja, geht ein.
He's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency. It's
Ist ja gut. Wie viel Zeit wir wohl schon überbrückt haben jetzt.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is
Das hat er, glaube ich, nicht so gut überstanden. Das ist eine gute Frage, warum die Uhr runtergefallen ist. Der arme Erzähler. Ich kann sagen, man hört ja Geräusche, aber ja, okay, es leckt hier ein bisschen. Okay. Ja. Irgendwie wie in der Welt von Portal, ne? So. Ist halt wirklich gerade so ein bisschen wie bei Portal 2, wo sich da teilweise in dem Labor so die Natur alles wieder zurückgeholt hat. So alles zugewuchert und so. Ja. Okay. Wirkt ein bisschen apokalyptisch gerade. Und es ist auch so dunkel, ne? Aber es könnte auch jetzt einfach Nacht sein, ne? Ha? Es ist einfach nur noch Wüste hier. Ah ja, und der Skip-Button ist weg. Ja. Ja, wie viel haben wir denn geskippt? Millionen Jahre? Aber es ist nur noch dieser eine Raum auf weiter Flur. Gehen einfach mal Richtung Sonne. Ja, der ist auch kaputt jetzt, der Button. Der hat aber ganz schön lange noch funktioniert. Oh. Da sind wir wieder. Schön
All of
heimisch.
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
War das Leuchtschild vorhin auch schon so da? Wollen wir das nochmal angucken oder wollen wir nochmal alten Content anschauen? Wir gucken einfach nochmal.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
War anders, ne? Ja, das ist halt das Ding, man weiß es einfach nicht, ne? Diesmal gab es doch diese Show nicht. Ne? Oder kam die erst später?
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is
Ja,
why I'm proud
genau.
to announce for the
Das Ende ist
first
niemals
time
das
ever
Ende, ist niemals das
the
Ende, ist niemals das
Stanley
Ende.
Parable 2.
Oh! Schick, schick.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release?
The
of a
end is
few
never the
minor
end,
additions?
again.
Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than
Wie schick das aber alles aussieht hier. Der
Ultra
Back,
Deluxe.
Tudors.
What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Aber das ist doch irgendwie auch von anderen Spielen geklaut hier, das Design, oder? Also das zweite, das sieht so ein bisschen aus wie Mafia. Gerade mit diesen zwei Strichen, aber das andere Zeug, das ist doch auch alles garantiert geklaut irgendwie, oder? Kriegt ihr das zusammen? Diese Designs? Also irgendwie kommen mir diese Logos so, wie sie da sind, irgendwie bekannt vor. Also das zweite, ich würd sagen, das zweite ist irgendwie Mafia 2 oder sowas, aber die anderen... Ah, das oben könnte The Last of Us oder so sein. Ja, ich krieg's nicht ganz zusammen. Aber die Schriftarten, die wirken irgendwie so deutlich geklaut. Aber ich krieg's jetzt auch nicht zusammen. Ich habe, glaube ich, zu wenig Spiele
Now, be
gespielt.
clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Oh. Ein Boost mit New Content. Aha. Wow.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Der Stanley Parable Beruhigungseimer, den will ich sehen. No Screenshots. Unendliches Loch, Bürodekoration. Ah, hier, da ist der Beruhigungseimer.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution.
Ja, dann lass mich doch auch mal testen hier. Ja. Ich fühle mich super.
Can you feel it?
Ja.
The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body.
Den nehmen wir mit.
Can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Ich kann ihn noch nicht mehr
Does anyone
ablegen.
give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should
Uns mal das
be
unendliche
awarded
Loch
if it's
anschauen.
already. Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Ja, leg mich doch. Warum fragt er mich dann überhaupt? Ah.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my
Boah,
decision.
geil.
Moving on. You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for
Ich kann nur nicht springen, ich habe schon alle Sprünge aufgebraucht.
Oh wait, you already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump
Oh,
circle.
guck mal.
Oh well.
Wir kriegen ein
I suppose
Achievement.
it can just be a nice decorative piece then. Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yeah. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Toll. Dieser Eimer. Jetzt einfach die ganze Zeit diesen scheiß Eimer da mitnimmt.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Oh.
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Oh, wie das einfach aussieht. Boah, krass. Toll.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Ja, ich sammle auch lieber gerne, ohne irgendwelche Belohnungen, ja.
Alright, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Und das sind darin alles zusammen und dann gibt es nichts. Ja, ich glaube, darauf wollte er ansprechen. Boah, macht das Bild mal richtig groß. Alles klar. Oh. Ist das dieses unendliche Loch?
What do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know
ja.
it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not...
Ja, einmal ist wichtig für die Sicherheit und kann... Ja, das stimmt, stimmt.
Experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you The Stanley Parable 2.
Boah, man hat wieder verbleibende Sprünge. Krass.
Well, I mean, there's
Und
potential.
ein Loch in der
here.
Mitte.
It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley?
Wieder so Löcher, wo man reinspringen kann. Und Eimer.
Gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything.
Roter Teppich.
I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect.
Jo, alles klar, super freundlich.
And
Bis
integrity
dann.
of the original game.
Viel Spaß noch.
Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2."
Das ist eigentlich, wenn ich auf die Rückseite
Let me see
gehe.
if I can whip something up.
Ach so, die sind nur auf einer Seite.
Perfect.
Ah ja.
Go ahead. Take a look. This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number
Da ist der weiße Ballon.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Get well
Stanley
someday.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Toll, das macht wirklich ein ganz neues Spiel daraus.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him.
Aber wir haben auch noch ein paar alte Wege quasi noch
Stanley came
nicht.
to a set of two open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the
Sind nämlich
first
hier auf der
open
rechten
door
Seite
on his
noch gar
left.
nicht gewesen.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Das sind mal
Someone
Regale
you've been
hier, ne?
neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for... This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Gar nicht creepy oder so.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown.
Das ist volle Absicht, dass man das jetzt machen muss.
It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work,
Ja, sind wir nicht alle Stanley?
desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried. his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Können ja mal das
Stanley decided to go to
Selbstmord.
the
Oh,
meeting
guck mal, der
room.
Eimer.
Perhaps he
Wollen wir ihn
had
mitnehmen?
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Ja, ich fühle mich besser.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Oh, wir können gleich mal mit dem Eimer auf die linke Seite gehen.
Telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Mal neue Gesprächsfunktionen abchecken sozusagen.
The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the
Aber ich glaube, viel ändern tut sich da gar nicht.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
said the bucket. But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Das heißt, du kannst theoretisch mit dem Eimer,
All of his co-workers
sofern du ihn
were
mitnehmen
gone.
kannst.
What could it mean?
Ah ne, der war hier.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting
Kannst du mit dem Eimer
Perhaps he
ganz
simply missed a
neue
memo.
Optionen, Gesprächsoptionen kriegen. Ah ja.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Ja.
And Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Ja, das ist halt das
Perhaps he
Ding so.
wanted
Es
to
gibt,
stop by
es gibt
the
auch Timelines, die
employee
miteinander
lounge first,
verbunden
just to
sind und du
admire
musst dann erstmal gewisse Sachen
Stanley felt lightheaded. Butterflies in his
nachspielen.
stomach, but eager to get
Aber
back
dass
to
die Wege
business.
so lang sind, hat ja
Stanley
auch was
took
mit
the
den,
first
mit
open
den
door on his left.
Sprachsamples zu tun. Die müssen ja auch durchlaufen können in der
Stanley was
Zeit.
so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Oh,
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these. Only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that
Yeah.
sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
da stand No Buckets. Wo, hier? Irgendwo? Ah, bestimmt wurde das schon geändert wieder. Da müssen wir dann nochmal hin. Wir können das ja nochmal wiederholen. Wir können ja jetzt ja machen, was er sagt.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I want it to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are
Ja,
we
ich
looking
weiß.
for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy. No, wait. Where are you going? Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing. No! Oh, thank God. You... No. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for... My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Maybe you're just getting...
Ich muss das tun.
I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back. Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they... Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the
Ah,
top.
da ist eine
There's something up there I
Stanley-Figur.
need you to do.
Da muss man irgendwie lang
Stanley did
können.
not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed.
Ah, da ist eine
because
Tür
of its
unten. Da muss man irgendwie
But Stanley
hin
chose not to
können.
think about this obvious fact.
Ich weiß
He
nur
was
noch nicht
firmly
wie.
convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Aber man kann da... Ah, das ist ein Lüftungsschacht da hinten. Ist schon eigenwillig der Eimer, ja. Vielleicht kann man da irgendwie seitlich raus. Danger everywhere.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
Das...
Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about...
Ich kann ihn ja nicht mal ablegen.
Point, which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Nö.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket.
Was?
Not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Auf keinen Fall.
Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Wie viele Ausreden hat er wohl?
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is
Was?
a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Ja. Was?
you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket?
Ja.
Correct. This is a bucket.
Moin. Was? Ich weiß jetzt nicht mehr genau, was ich da mache.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Na komm, da muss es ja auch einer sein.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Ja, einfach mal so. Ich hatte die Woche keine Zeit zum Streamen, deswegen habe ich es heute... habe ich heute einfach mal so gestreamt. Mit so einem Spiel, was man einfach nur mal so spielen kann. Ja, auf jeden Fall. Was?
You and I both know there isn't anything here.
In dem Spiel geht es quasi darum, eine Storyline einzuhalten, die der Erzähler sagt. Und man kann aber auch was anderes machen und dadurch entstehen andere Geschichten.
Unless in your twisted mind have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Ja.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective.
Ja, ich auch.
What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have
Planet Crafter.
but I'm going to
Das ist
erase
gut.
all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my god, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket.
Was du mal machen könntest, wäre das Spiel auf Full HD runterzustellen. Dann hast du zwar nicht mehr, also sieht es bei dir nicht mehr ganz so hochauflösend aus, aber im Stream hast du ja eh nur Full HD. Also das kannst du mal testen. Dungeon 3. Cool.
Tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Okay. Ja, ich weiß halt nicht, ob die Capture Card Variante dir da unbedingt viel Performance bringen würde.
Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much.
Oh, Meeting in the Meeting Room. Vielleicht sollten wir da tatsächlich mal hingehen, aber wir nehmen den einmal
The
mit.
confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Bottom Text. Oh, there will be a reward. Okay. Vielleicht kriegt man dann diese Tested. Ach, guck mal. Da steht das sogar, wo man die findet. Okay, da habe ich schon eine Idee bei Punkt 6. Das könnte fast alles sein. Und das mit dem Lot of Boxes, okay, ne, bei Fire... Okay, in dem einen Raum waren ja Screenshots verboten. Das wollte ich auf jeden Fall auch nochmal...
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Warte. Bei Stairs, da habe ich eine Idee. Das könnte nämlich sein, dass es hier unten in dieser Ecke ist. Ja.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes,
I think I like that. Another Stanley under your belt.
So, und dann, ich glaube, das ist an dieser Toilette, die vom Chef ist. Das klang jedenfalls gerade sehr danach, die war hier vorne. Ja.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think?
Figlies.
What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Ja, aber die eine, weiß ich jetzt auch nicht, wie man da rankommt.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an
Diese Fortsetzung ist jetzt pausiert. Ah ja.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Okay.
What did it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah genau, wir haben uns noch nicht konsequent an die rote Tür gehalten.
When Stanley
Das
came
müssen
to
wir
a
noch
set
mal
of
machen.
2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first. Just
Jo, alles klar, Beatrick, ne? Schön, dass du da warst. Ich mache auch nicht mehr lange. Ich wollte eigentlich nur so 2 Stündchen machen. Bin ich auch gleich durch. Und dann bestellen wir uns erstmal was Leckeres zu essen. Wahrscheinlich erstmal schön Fettpizza. Ah, herrlich.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Aha, ja.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anmarines. Very soon, you'll collect the first one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anmarines. None of us can.
So, da lang. Und da war ja irgendwie dieses...
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Wo sind wir denn jetzt?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to...
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the
Jetzt sind wir.
Stanley clutched the bucket.
Genau, wir wollten noch die rote... Ah, verdammt, wir können ja gar nicht damit in die rote... Okay, dann...
Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured
Okay,
through
und
the
Fireplace, da
section
wüsste ich
and
jetzt
walked
gerade
straight ahead to
überhaupt
the
nicht,
opposite
welche
door.
Ecke damit gemeint sein könnte. Also wir haben jetzt ja eigentlich nur dieses Fireplace-Ding.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything.
Ja, vielleicht stehen wir jetzt ja dieses Ending durch. Mit der Selbstzerstörung. Okay, das ist ja nur dieses Ending.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret.
Da würde ich mir gerade schon so ein bisschen Skippen wünschen oder irgendwas, was das Spiel schneller durchlaufen lässt.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terror. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
Oh.
Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Ah, das ist toll.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hand.
Wie mag ich das
The one
Spiel?
who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Okay, wir müssen noch die Rottür-Verweigerer-Storyline machen.
Gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you forgot. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the
ihre
entire
Videos zu
story
pushen,
I'd written out
ihre Likes zu
specifically
pushen,
for you?
ihr Talent zu
Did you not
pushen.
think I put a lot of time
Genau.
into it? Because I did. And in the end it was all
Ach,
for nothing,
ja.
because this is what you wanted to see.
Das war noch
Help me
Zeichen,
here,
ne?
Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Good. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look. Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors?
Aber auf jeden Fall.
Honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4
4
hours
Stunden.
of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Oh. Ach, verbrenn doch.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation?
Das kenne ich aber auch noch nicht,
Obvious to
diesen...
me that you are meant to play as a creepy man, spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted, erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental...
Also irgendwie habe ich noch in Erinnerung, dass er einen zu Minecraft sogar schickt.
And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Oh ja. Sieht jetzt irgendwie ein bisschen aus wie so ein typisches Survival-Game, ne? Ah, da unten geht's weiter.
Oh no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
Was?
Thank goodness, Stanley, what a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Rocket League?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game...
Das fühlt sich irgendwie komisch an, zu Fuß in so einer Rocket League Arena rumzulaufen.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game
Wo denn?
sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh,
Wo
what
sieht er den Ball?
We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Ja, da ist er. Oh. Wie werde ich ganz schön schnell gerade. Hey.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes. Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls!
Hey! Oh, das müsste mal Rocket League machen. Einfach mal so 20 Bälle in der Arena.
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes.
You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley. Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Ups. Ah, das ist die erste Version von Stanley Parable. Diese Half-Life 1 Mod. Was Half-Life 1? Ich glaube.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
So, ich glaube, wir haben relativ viele Enden gefunden. Ich glaube, so ein paar sind noch über. Aber ja, wir haben, glaube ich, spontan alles mal durchgecheckt, was wir so gesehen haben. Letzte Figur haben wir nicht gefunden, aber das ist ja auch nicht so schlimm. Da machen wir jetzt Feierabend. Ich wünsche allen, die da noch zuhören, ein schönes Restwochenende. Ah, ja, dir viel Spaß beim Stream nachher, ne? Ich versuche mal reinzuschauen. Und ja, dann, hier kommt nichts mehr. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao, ciao.